I'm the guy who, by chance, ended up in an unthinkable situation with my brother's wife, my sister-in-law. Neither my wife nor my brother knows about it. We've sworn to take this secret to our graves. I took up swimming as a hobby back in middle school. My household was always noisy. My dad was constantly busy with his business, and my mom devoted herself to looking after us boys. Raising 3 sons turned my mom's gentle voice into a deeper tone over time. I'm the youngest of 2 sons. While my brother was the model student, I never had much interest in academics. Despite their hectic schedules, our parents often took us out to the countryside or the beach, believing in the idea that physical agility enhances overall abilities. Unlike my brothers, who were timid around water, I loved swimming and took lessons twice a week, often going for free swims on the weekends. I had a close friend during those times with whom I still maintain a strong bond. Having married around the same time and our kids being of similar ages, we both had sons and would take them out to kid-friendly places, like museums and parks, proud to give our wives some freedom and considering ourselves great dads. Our families would meet up, and the moms quickly became friends, partly because they came from the same hometown. Life was going smoothly until one day, my friend suggested that while his wife and kid were visiting her parents, my wife should join them. My wife thought it was a great idea and planned a 3-night, 4-day trip. My friend then proposed that we take a guy's trip, but I suggested a staycation at a fancy hotel instead, arguing that we deserved to enjoy some swimming and relaxation too. With that, we booked a luxury hotel in the city, but with no family obligations, we found ourselves without much to do. So we ended up at a nightclub one evening. That's where things took an unexpected turn. My friend, who's had his share of romances since college, suggested we join a couple of attractive older women at their table for drinks. I agreed, thinking we'd keep it light and leave soon after. But to my utter shock, one of the women who joined us was my brother's wife, my sister-in-law. Both of us were too shocked to speak. My friend blurted out, "Hey Ivan, do you know her?" In a moment, I hesitated before replying, "Yeah." When he asked how I knew her, I couldn't bring myself to say she was my sister-in-law, so I ended up saying, "She works at a client's company, seen her a couple of times." I was taken aback at running into her here. I heard from my brother that she was supposed to be visiting her family for a couple of days, and I hadn't told my wife about the staycation with my buddy. The last thing I expected was to bump into her at a hotel nightclub. The situation was baffling, to say the least. Her friend, oblivious to the tension, cheerfully suggested, "Since we've all finished our chores and met here, it must be fate. Let's enjoy the night." My sister-in-law didn't say a word, just fiddled with her beer glass. Her friend went on, "I dragged her out a few months ago, telling her the kids are grown and it's time to have some fun. She's been more eager to come out lately. Her husband is so considerate. When her grandmother was sick, he told her to visit right away and even gave her some spending money. But this girl, always making up excuses to go out. Ha ha." Her friend spoke carelessly while my sister-in-law's cheeks turned red. My brother and I are close. We live nearby and often meet for meals. I was disappointed to learn she lied about visiting her family and instead came here. Unable to reveal her true identity, I excused us, saying we'd quietly enjoy a beer. My friend, sensing the awkwardness, jokingly suggested he'd enjoy spending time with the talkative lady and winked at me. My brother is 5 years older than me, and we share a strong bond. He even supported me financially when I was between jobs before I got married. His kids are in upper elementary school and sometimes play with my son. The relationship between our wives and my sister-in-law has always been good. Last year, when our mother passed away from cancer, my sister-in-law was incredibly supportive, taking care of her at my brother's house. Given her recent uncharacteristic behavior, I was at a loss. Since she was supposed to be out of town, I had booked a hotel room for her. She expressed fear of staying alone, so I agreed to accompany her. Before leaving, I hoped she would have a peaceful night and return home early. However, she worried that she wouldn't be able to sleep well if she stayed alone. Let's talk about how we can resolve what happened today. She begged me not to leave, saying that if her husband found out, she feared she would be headed straight for divorce. The brother-in-law had also criticized her for not being upfront about going to her parents and, instead, choosing to spend the night out, suggesting it wasn't something to be proud of. She was advised against lying to her husband and sneaking out in the future, because eventually, all misdeeds come to light, and it's best to remain faithful to one's family. I decided to sleep on the couch, but I couldn't fall asleep because I was worried about her. It seemed like she couldn't sleep either. Truth be told, I was the first to fall for her when she was my tutor in high school. Thanks to her, I focused on my studies and got into a good college. Upon entering college, I tried to confess my feelings for her by inviting her to a restaurant with a view of the river, only to find out she was already wearing a couple's ring with my brother. My family had kept their relationship a secret to not distract me from my studies. I was heartbroken to have lost my ideal woman to my brother, but they seemed very happy together. She once hinted at feeling lonely sleeping in a big bed by herself. We ended up spending the night together, and she confessed that my husband has only been paying attention to the kids. He's been neglecting me for over 6 months now. I stayed by her side all night. In the morning, I told her about my previous attempt to confess, how I cried upon discovering she was with my brother, which she was unaware of. We agreed to meet discreetly going forward. Knowing how complicated our situation was, she nodded silently, and since then, we've been seeing each other whenever we can, despite feeling guilty towards her spouse. The joy of being with my first love has me singing to myself these days.